Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Dungeons and Dopamine.
Ta-da! Hi, welcome to Dungeons and Dopamine. I'm Bree.
I'm Jess.
And this is episode 84.
84.
I got all of that right.
You
on
did.
The first try.
Good job.
Go me.
I need to think of a thing. Like, we're here for the year. It's the new year. That's perfect.
We're here for the new year. To not talk about death and sad stuff.
I make no promises. I don't have that today, though. So.
Oh, yay. Me neither, actually. This turned out to be a happy topic.
Mine's weird. Like, you'll never guess this topic. And I didn't tell you very much on purpose.
Oh boy, I'm excited now.
Yes. It's not aliens. It was aliens.
Never mind then.
I'm done. I'm leaving. You just hop out my second story window. If you're like my cat, it'll be no problem for you.
I'm exactly like your cat. I will totally
Tiny,
land on
totally
my feet.
black, no tail, just a nub.
Very fluffy.
Very fluffy.
Very
Wears
soft.
Pantaloons. My cat looks like she's wearing pants and then tall boots.
She does.
It's my favorite thing about her. Not her personality, just her pantaloons.
There's some to be desired there.
It's questionable. I feel like I actually had something poignant to talk about, and no, I don't remember what it was. So the cat's good enough.
Yeah, that sounds like way too much.
Why would I do that? Ugh. It really does bug me now. What was it going to be? I don't know.
I'm sure you'll think about it later.
I'll probably shout it out in the middle of your topic.
Perfect. I love it when you do that.
So anyway, what is your topic?
I finally went back, not to Ted Lasso, but to
Of course not.
Andrew Carnegie.
Oh, yeah.
So a few weeks ago when I did my History
Totally
of
forgot about
Libraries
that.
episode, I talked a little bit about Andrew Carnegie because he is sometimes known or referred to as the patron saint of libraries.
Because he is a library.
Surprise! And it was at that point we decided we needed to know more about this man, so that's what I did. Everything I'm going to talk about today pretty much came from Wikipedia or the website for the Carnegie Corporation of New York. So he was born on November 25th, 1835 in Dunfermline, Scotland.
What? Really?
Yeah, he's from Scotland.
I totally thought this dude was American.
Same.
Huh.
His father was a weaver, which apparently was a very big profession in Scotland for a while, but his family fell on hard times along with much of Scotland. There was like a potato famine.
That was Ireland.
Both.
I'm learning so many things today.
I had to research that as well because the Wikipedia made it sound like everybody was leaving Scotland approximately 1846-ish, and I did not know why, but apparently it was also the potato famine.
Wow.
So, wow.
Apparently I am Owen Wilson.
Surprise!
Wow.
So they emigrated to the United States in 1848 through like a family member. His maternal uncle Andrew and his family picked up and they moved over here. They ended up in a little town in Pennsylvania where again his father was working as a weaver and did really well for a little bit but then fell on hard times again. So at the ripe old age of 13, Andrew started working in a sewing factory where he was a bobbin boy. So he would spend 6 days a week, 12-hour days, just refilling bobbins in this sewing factory. It's mentioned nearly everywhere that he was making $1.20 per week at the time, which was like $47 a week if you turned it to modern day times. A year later, he started as a telegraph messenger and then very quickly rose through the ranks in the telegraph business. So he went from being just a messenger boy to then like learning how to operate it. And it was through this that he started to make connections and like meet people in his area, in his community. And he was noticed because he had like a sharp mind and he would remember people really well. And it was also during this time that he met Colonel James Anderson. And Colonel James Anderson was just a successful man around that time who actually opened his personal library of 400 books to working boys. So it's not what it sounds like.
You must have seen my face.
Yep. Well, even when I wrote it, I was like, they worded this funny. So remember from my library episode back then, there weren't public libraries yet. So the only people that had access to libraries were people that had wealth and were able to have their own personal libraries or knew somebody that could get them access. So he had his own personal library, and he would allow like children in the neighborhood that were proving that they were good workers or that they wanted to be successful would have access to his books. So Andrew spent a lot of time at this personal library. He used it to his advantage to educate himself, and at that point vows that if he is ever a rich man, he will fund public libraries so that everyone has the opportunity to educate themselves.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
He did.
He absolutely did. From there, it starts to be noticed by people with money, and essentially he is in the club when like railways start to be discussed. So Wikipedia Wikipedia can be edited by random people. They get a little judgy about Andrew Carnegie at this point and how he essentially used like insider trading knowledge as well as his connections to start making his fortune. And I'm not here to defend or not defend him, but I don't know how business was done back then. It's not like they had Wall Street where you could get insider trading tips. Like, it sounds to me like it was just kind of the way business was done. You rub elbows with people, you network, you get to know people. And
yeah, that doesn't seem... Maybe it's just rose-colored glasses on our parts, but that doesn't seem like a big deal to me.
And I mean, yeah, of course, he's a white male in,
yes.
the late 1800s, early 1900s. So, of course, he did have some advantages that a lot of people didn't have. But even, like, his mom actually mortgaged her house to get him his first $600 to invest in this stock market or this business investment. And from there, it kind of snowballed. He, made these connections. He met these people, made this initial investment, which got him a little bit of money. And then he started working on the railway and met the guy that eventually would invent sleeper cars and invested with this man that invented sleeper cars. So that improves the railway. That becomes important. I will also say that it mentions that he helped during this time working. His railway system was used during the Civil War by the Union and is thought to have been instrumental in helping win the Civil War because he was helping get those telegraph messages back and forth to where they needed to be. So whether or not he made his fortune based on which rich white man tactics or however you want to say it, he at least was doing some good even back then.
And you can't really go back and change any of that now, so...
Right. And then at the age of 33, this is documented, he writes himself a letter or like a manifest that basically says he wants to amass wealth and then retire at age 35 and focus on educating himself and then use his wealth to improve the world. At some point, he is credited with saying that a person should have 3 sections to their life. A third of your life should be spent educating yourself, the next third of your life should be spent making money and amassing wealth, and then the final third of your life should be giving all of that wealth away. He does eventually get married at the age of 51 after his mother dies.
That's so long.
Yes,
that's so
especially
long.
Back then.
Yeah.
And it does say that he took care of his mom. She was ill in her older years, and he specifically waited to get married so that he could take care of her and make sure she had a good life. So he gets married at the age of 51 to Louise Whitfield, who is 21 years younger than him.
Ooh,
and they have one daughter. Louise does sign a prenup, and it's actually one of the first in history, stating that she understands she will not receive his fortune upon his death, that it will be mostly given away, and that she will receive only like a modest trust, and then her own personal effects and whatever homes they own at the time, which ends up being like a castle in Scotland and then their big estate in New York. So she's still pretty well off, but she knows in the beginning that she's not going to become like a super wealthy woman from this.
So this is maybe an actual love match.
Yeah. And then there is a Forbes article that explains that he really did give most of his fortune away, and that while the Carnegie family has done decently well for themselves, they have all done it for themselves. A lot of them are like white collar workers at this point, but none of them were given like $1 million to start with, which I think is kind of interesting. They also are, none of them are actually named Carnegie because he only had the one daughter, so they are all of other names at this point.
And that's also really interesting because when you think of Carnegie, you do kind of think of money.
Yeah. Well, I'll get to it. But he does not retire at 35. He waits until 1901, which puts him right? Gosh. Puts him right around like 66 when he retires. And at that point, he becomes one of the wealthiest men in the United States. He's actually right behind Rockefeller, I believe, like the second richest man at the time.
Makes me sad.
In today's world, he would have been significantly richer than Bill Gates. And when he sells his shares in all of his steel company to retire, he sells it to JP Morgan in 1901, and he sells it for $480 million in 1901, which would be about $10 billion today.
Holy cow.
And then, just like he said he would, he starts giving his fortune away. He, of course, starts with libraries, just like he said he would, is credited with starting over 2,500 libraries. I mentioned in my library episode that he would often provide the seed money, and then he would require the municipality or the city or the town to provide some sort of match. So usually that was they had to provide the land and then provide a budget showing that it could be funded, and he would provide the money to actually build it and start it. There are Carnegie libraries located in 47 U.S. states, and also in Canada, Britain, Ireland, Belgium, Serbia, France, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and the West Indies and Fiji.
Wow. I had no idea they extended that far.
Right, and it does say a couple times that he primarily focused on English-speaking countries, but he did get a little further out as well. He also invested very heavily in education and scientific research in general. He funded a few universities, research centers, music halls, and various nonprofits. He focused very heavily on education and research, but also on the arts, economic and racial differences, and especially world peace. He was very politically involved and was very outspoken in his belief that the wealthy should use their wealth to better the world. He is even quoted as saying, "The man who dies thus rich dies disgraced." From the Carnegie Corporation website, by 1911, so this is 10 years after he officially retired, Andrew Carnegie had endowed 5 organizations in the United States and 3 in the United Kingdom, and had given away more than $43 million for public library buildings and close to $110 million for other purposes. At that point, he still had more than $150 million. Jeez. And at the age of 76, basically decided he was tired and used the rest of it to start the Carnegie Corporation of New York. He started to promote the advancement and diffusion of knowledge and understanding and continue his program of giving. So this is basically a huge, large nonprofit grant corporation that continues his legacy by funding projects they think he would have wanted to fund. He even gave them, it's initially started, the trustees of the corporation are like his longtime friends and associates, but he gives them permission to adapt and change with the times. So he has the forethought to say, "Conditions upon the earth inevitably change. Hence, no wise man will bind trustees forever to certain paths, causes, or institutions. They shall best conform to my wishes by using their own judgment."
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I never realized how, forward-thinking he was.
Yeah, because we're basically told he's like the father of the Industrial Revolution, and he starts all of the stuff with the steel companies and all of that, and the railway, obviously, but nobody, especially in school, really got into his philanthropy part of it.
And I think of Carnegie Hall and, just some of the, real basic stuff.
Right. And I'll talk a little bit just briefly about that, those types of things that he started. But from this Carnegie Corporation website says his fortune has since supported everything from the discovery of insulin and the dismantling of nuclear weapons to the creation of Pell Grants and Sesame Street. I could do a whole episode just on the different grants and programs that this corporation has contributed to. A lot of it is scientific research about, what poverty does to people, or what like racial inequalities do to people and how it affects things. But it also, like the Tuskegee school that Booker T. Washington started, that was partially funded by Carnegie. It was just a lot of really good social programs and really good social education and knowledge.
He did it all with a Scottish accent.
Yes. Yeah, because he would have been
a little bit of one.
10, 11, 12 when he left.
Out of it, like pretty quickly, but still, I'm imagining.
And then he actually also wrote some well-regarded books and articles about wealth and education inequality and why the wealthy should contribute to like progressive tax and other ideas that would probably be considered quite wild today. He also believes strongly that family wealth should not just be passed down and that generational wealth and power is dangerous. He spoke very openly about dismantling the monarchy in the UK and was very anti-war, obviously working towards world peace, and anti-annexation. So at this time, it would have been when the United States was essentially taking over, buying the Philippines, which I had to look up. I didn't know we did.
Yeah.
But we did. And Carnegie was very outspoken about the idea that that should not happen, that the United States should stop taking over these countries and these cultures and essentially whitewashing them. He even offered the Philippines $20 million to avoid the annexation, which they didn't take seriously and they didn't take him up on. The United States no longer owns the Philippines, by the way. We gave it back or something.
That's very strange.
Yes. Other things Andrew Carnegie did, he started the Carnegie Mellon University, or the Carnegie University that later merged with the Mellon Institute. So this is colleges in like engineering, fine arts, science, industrial administration, humanities, and social sciences. He started the Hero Fund Commission, and this one I really like. This is just a nonprofit that honors and helps heroes of civilization. So the commission initially established a $5 million fund to recognize persons in peaceful vocations who act to preserve or rescue their fellows.
Huh.
So there's hero funds in the United States, the UK, and Europe that just exist to give money to people that are heroes. He focused a lot on teaching, so there are endowment funds and different organizations that work to not only improve the conditions for teachers, but also just improve education and how teachers are educated. There's a whole trust set up for the Dunfermline, which is where he's from in Scotland. He put a bunch of money into the economy there and focusing on natural parks and public institutions and universities. The Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, he's got a couple different organizations that focus just on world peace and trying to preserve peace or work towards peace. There is the Carnegie Hall, which was the big music hall. He opened this back in 1891. He focused a lot on different schools of music or the arts instead of just on scientific education. Obviously all the libraries, the Carnegie Trust for Universities of Scotland, so again focusing on education back in his home country.
So he truly never gave up on anyone, really. He stuck through everything.
He really did. And focused, again, as somebody that had a lot of money, he focused not only on improving the world for the people around him, but improving the world for poor people.
Right.
For people like where he had come from, and trying to give them more equality instead of just leaving it to the people that were already rich.
I feel like the lead was really buried on him. How is none of this well known? Or maybe it was just me not knowing, but I had no idea he was that cool.
Like, we have talked about a lot of things, but until I started talking about libraries, why would we have ever thought to think about Andrew Carnegie?
I kind of thought of like the old money, just that party New York kind of flippant
he was a Rockefeller. He must have he hung out with the Rockefellers and they made a bunch of money, and he like Great Gatsby'd it. I don't know.
That's exactly it.
I will say, so all in all, I think he seems like a pretty good guy. He maybe had some human slip-ups along the way. There is a section on controversies on his Wikipedia page, and it was pretty light. It includes his participation in like an elitist community that like took over this small town, this deserted town, and like made it into their party town or like their neighborhood, whether because of bad maintenance or whatever. They overflow a dam or cause a dam to break, and it floods a small town nearby, and people die. And because they are all rich people, they essentially pay to have it cleaned up and covered up. There's also like a deadly labor strike at a steel factory that he owned, obviously before he retired and started sending all of his money to all of these causes. And then there's like a brief little blurb about how Theodore Roosevelt didn't really like him, but the only part I can understand from it is that he didn't seem to like him because Carnegie was so against war. So that didn't really seem like a controversy to me, just kind of like a silly little fact. But I guess it does kind of leave it open, is this like a Scrooge situation where Carnegie maybe wasn't the greatest guy for a while and like amassed all this wealth and got really rich and then had some sort of awakening or dream or something that caused him to change his tune and become this philanthropist that was really involved with all these things? Or is it really just, what his life plan was? You grow up, you get educated, you make as much money as you can so that you then have all this money to do good in the world.
That's very interesting. Theodore Roosevelt, people love him. They think he's a really cool guy. I don't know a lot about him, to be completely honest. I know that he became almost like a trend to know about him and like him.
Yeah.
There's a picture of him on a moose.
Well, from that, like the Night at the Museum movies.
Yeah.
He's Robin Williams plays him in those movies, so he becomes like this. Well, in the museum that Night at the Museum is based on, like they have that whole room dedicated to him.
Exactly.
But all I've really got is that he was like a hunter, and he was like a guy's guy. So seems like a president of the United States thing to do, like.
Right.
Oh, he doesn't support my war policy.
Boo. Yeah. And he might have had a platform to stand on just because he had money.
Well, and I do, that is kind of shady in this. He is quite active. Carnegie is quite active politically, and he does have the ear of the president of the United States, and he does kind of have his hand in these inner workings and these deals.
It's really interesting. I also wonder what kind of person he was in, like, personality-wise. Was he a funny guy? Was he very, like, strict and very...
Yeah, it didn't really talk about that much.
Yeah. It's weird, You're getting the, like, philanthropic and the potentially scandalous...
businessman.
Yeah,
like cold.
Maybe playboy. Maybe that's why he didn't get married until so late.
Mm-hmm.
But...
These are the topics that make me, like... want to do a deep dive.
Yeah, they kind of annoy me because I want answers.
Then suddenly we have like 6-week episode about Andrew Carnegie.
No one
and
asked
the only
for it.
People listening by the end are me.
Did Andrew Carnegie?
Not even you.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm over it.
Like, oh, she's doing it again.
Did Andrew Carnegie have a cat?
It did not mention a cat.
I don't understand why it wouldn't.
I assume since he was mostly a good person, he probably at least had one cat.
And a dog, obviously.
Obviously. I'm going to Google.
Good. Yes, please do.
Andrew Carnegie. I was going to freak out if Google managed to guess
that in. Did Andrew Carnegie's mom sit on his cat?
Ooh, He had a Scottish Terrier named Laddie.
Oh.
He also had pet rabbits.
Okay.
And he allowed his friends to name them in exchange for food for the rabbits. Which is awesome.
That should be my new method of animaling.
Right?
Hey, guys. I just got a whole bunch of kittens. Come on over with food and you can name them.
Katie would be all on that. And you would end up with a bunch of cats named things like Catty Cat.
Butthole. Yeah. Maybe I'd say, like, you could nickname them.
There we go. Gotta put some boundaries in there.
My chickens, but I already have names for them, so I can't. So it's really ironic that this episode started with a really random, unplanned story of cats. And the reason I asked you if Andrew Carnegie had a cat is because my topic is not a Jessica topic today.
I thought you were going to say is not cats.
It's not cats. Guess. Railroad tracks. It's the best thing I can come up with at random. There's nothing else coming to my mind but that.
Very connected that you would do railroad tracks when I did Andrew Carnegie.
I don't know if anyone knows this about me. No. Let me rephrase that. Everyone knows this about me. I love animals.
What?
I know. Shock! I love all of the animals. I was going to work at SeaWorld with whales because I love whales. I was also at one point in my life going to go to the zoo, like zoology, and work with big cats.
She wasn't just going to go to the zoo.
I was once going to go to the zoo.
We have gone to the
zoo. A plethora of times.
Quite recently, even.
And I was going to work with the big cats. And so one day, a week or two ago, Ryan and I were having a conversation, and I was spitting some facts about big cats, specifically tigers. And that is my topic today.
I feel like you're pulling a Brie this week.
I kind of am.
You're like, what will bring me joy?
Tigers.
I like big cats.
Yeah.
And I cannot lie.
So the reason Ryan and I had a conversation, okay, I cannot actually tell you the reason. I have no idea why it came up.
It just happens in my life.
We were talking about the bite force of tigers, which is bigger than most of the other big cats, but smaller than a bear, especially a polar bear, which has one of the biggest bite forces. Do you want to know the ironic thing?
Yes.
The biggest bite force in the animal kingdom on Earth currently is an orca. Which I didn't feel like water animals were like part of this, but it's a mammal. It deserves its due.
I feel like I heard this recently, which is why I'm doubly confused.
Were you in my room that night?
Shoot. Gonna have to stop listening to that camera.
We were probably also watching Viva La Dirt League, so hopefully you're all caught up on that.
All caught up. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. So I decided to research tigers. I love tigers. They're my favorite of all big cats.
I'm not sure I could have guessed that about you.
That tigers were my favorite big cat, or that I love them in general?
Both of that. Both of those things.
I guess
like, if I had to write out a list of Jessica's top 10 animals, that's too many. Jessica's top 5 animals. I would have done orcas and then dolphins. And then probably just like dogs.
Sure.
And cats.
Sure. It would have been orcas.
Then maybe manatees.
You do love manatees.
Beluga whales.
I do love all of those, but it would definitely be orcas, dolphins, tigers. Yeah.
I'm learning new things about you still.
You're welcome.
30 years later. You're welcome, she says.
Too bad they couldn't see the face I made. I don't know if I'm appalled or shocked or just confused by my actions. So anyways, tigers are cats. They're big cats. I know. They are, unlike your like house kitty, tigers really enjoy water. They like to swim, and they're actually very powerful, talented, fast swimmers. They can even hunt in the water. They can climb. You know, you see pictures of cheetahs up in trees, or even female lions hanging out in the trees. Tigers can climb, but they're not normally going to do that. They're just kind of...
They're like, that's dumb, you guys.
Yeah. I could just jump that. It's fine. They have a huge jump. I have the fact down here somewhere, and I will get to it, I think. If not, I'll just cut this out and pretend I never said it. They do have a huge jump. They are pretty solitary. They do not hang out in big groups. Obviously, you've got lions who are in prides. They don't want to hang out in a group. They're pretty like, leave me alone. I'm good.
I guess I never thought about that.
Yeah, I know, right? See? You're learning something. You're learning so much. You're welcome.
This is such an informative day.
Carnegie and tigers. So, they are long-range animals, and their territory is typically like a 20 square mile range. There were some noted that they can be significantly smaller depending on the circumstances where they're living. Like on reserves, they're significantly smaller.
Okay.
But
Makes
20
sense.
square miles is pretty much typical. They also can be much larger. When tigresses that live in the same reserve, this was just kind of a cool fact, when their cubs got up to like 4 months of age, they reduced their range to stay closer to home. And then when they were about 13 to 18 months old, they enlarged it again and the cubs left. So
they're like, keep these babies close to home right now.
Exactly.
They are monsters.
Exactly. Nearly all of your wild tigers are going to be your very typical orangish and black coloring. There are some extinct tigers that were in blue hues.
What?
Gray hues and red hues.
Ooh.
Which would have been amazing.
Right?
There are tigers that are born with defects or they're specially bred, and you will see white tigers occasionally. Tigers make a lot of different noises. They chuff, which is sort of a... They obviously growl, they roar.
Will you do examples of all of these, please?
Roar! I'm going to be so mad when I'm editing this episode.
Thank you.
Got you. I got you covered. This one I'm not going to do. There is something when tigers are tense, they actually make a kind of moaning sound, which would probably actually be terrifying.
Right?
It's similar to a roar, but it's a little softer and made when the mouth is at least partially closed. This can be heard up to 400 miles, which is 1,300 feet away.
That's a lot.
That's so crazy. Can you imagine
Whoa.
hearing that and you don't know how close or far it is?
No, thank you.
And that means that it's tense, which means you don't want to be close. Tigers can sprint at about 56 kilometers per hour, which is about 35 miles an hour. And, I do have this in here, and leap about 10 meters, which is 33 feet.
Which is huge. That's like as tall as a house.
Yes.
Just like...
They can leap over trees if they need to, or walls.
Yeah.
So if you look at most tiger exhibits in most places, they are going to have roofs.
Because they have to.
Because otherwise it will just leave and then moan. Well, it kills everyone in the zoo.
Well, it murders everyone.
I didn't do a lot into the hunting because it makes me sad.
I appreciate that.
But it is not a big long distance runner, and it will usually give up on a prey that gives it a big chase. It outpaces it. So
Fair.
there
I don't
are...
like to chase my dinner either.
I'm sorry?
I don't like to chase my dinner either.
Same. If my delivery person can't get me my food, I ain't chasing them. Tigers as a species are just tigers. I'm sure they have a scientific name. I only have one scientific name, and it is for a very particular reason within all of this research, because I did not want to have to try and say them. We know how well I do at like German country or German city names or whatever it was I was trying to read that one time. It's like a bad poem. So
There was also that bad poem you tried to read.
Right. Oh my gosh, right? Same episode, I think. Oh boy, the irony. This episode is better than ironing. Not ironing. Irony.
Both.
This episode is so much better than ironing irony.
Yes.
There are 6 different kinds of subspecies of tigers currently in the world. There were 9, but 3 of them are extinct, which is incredibly sad. Every single tiger breed every tinkle. We were doing so good.
It's always the last half of the second episode where things just get wild.
Which is saying
actually
a lot,
not
because
always.
it's always me.
Sometimes it's the first episode that is totally unhinged.
True. Every subspecies of tiger is endangered. Some critically so. Some, I won't say just endangered, but some less low on the list of critical. My personal favorite, and that's a weird thing to say, but my personal favorite kind of tiger is the Amur tiger, which is also known as the Siberian tiger. Bengal tigers, which I will talk about next, are actually larger in the wild than a Siberian tiger, but in captivity, the Bengal often grows rather large, and that makes it the largest purebred cat in the world. The heaviest Siberian tiger has a record weight of 660 pounds.
Holy cow.
Big boy. They are typically
Big
smaller.
kitty.
A big kitty. I just want to hug it. That is my big
Needs
fatal
my snuggles.
flaw. The Siberian tiger typically is smaller than the Bengal, and their male counterparts are usually 389-ish to 475-ish pounds. And the female is about 260 to 303 pounds, which are very specific.
Right?
I don't know if they're taking a mean or median of numbers. It's a very strange total. So that is my personal favorite subspecies. I couldn't particularly tell you why, but they're just beautiful. All of them are just beautiful. Bengal tigers are the largest tiger in the wild. A male Bengal will weigh between 397 and 569 pounds. The female is smaller, weighing between 220 and 350 pounds, which is also a really big weight range, I think.
Right?
But it is what it is.
But that's what it said.
That's what it told me. The Indo-Chinese tiger is the next subspecies. They're also known as a Corbett's tiger. It's named in honor of a famous British hunter, Jim Corbett. And that makes me angry. That's why I put it here, because he was enlisted to hunt down man-eating tigers and leopards early in the 20th century. And now most of those animals are critically endangered, if not completely extinct.
So he's a big jerk.
Yes. Just a note, the illegal trade of tiger parts, which are in high demand, is the main reason that they're going down. This particular one is going down in population. There are only about 300 to 400 tigers of the Indo-Chinese tigers left in the world. Interestingly enough, and I'm going to quote this directly from the website that I found it on, the tiger parts from these tigers are used in rituals. They're used for meat, to make jewelry, to make medicines, clothing, and wines. Noted very particularly that very little of the tiger is left unused. But I do feel like at this point in the world, we are past needing to use something like this to make anything.
Right.
There's a lot more options. You can make wine with a lot of different things that aren't endangered. You can make jewelry
or
and
living, breathing animals.
Yeah. And I know, I understand the rituals, maybe you can't, but maybe you also can. So
figure it out.
Yeah, basically. Male Indo-Chinese are generally between 331 and 430 pounds. The female usually weighs between 220 and 290. The South China tiger has not been spotted in the wild for decades, which is really sad. It's not as small as a Sumatran tiger, which I will also talk about soon, but they are one of the smaller subspecies. A male weighs between 287 and 386 pounds, and the female 220 to 254. The South China tiger is critically endangered. They are facing extinction. There are literally only 30 to 40 known to exist in the world.
Oh my goodness.
All in captivity. In the 70s, there were more than 4,000, but the Chinese government cleared land for development and ordered them all killed. And now they regret their actions, so they're trying to fix it. But, you know, 30 to 40 is a bit late.
Jerks.
Yeah. Sorry. I wanted to do this for fun, and then I ended up just getting tipped.
And then I went on a rampage.
Yeah, exactly. Sumatran tigers are the smallest tiger subspecies. So these are the ones I should have. That's not true. Don't ever own a tiger.
In my house.
Gosh. Exactly. I assume that they're smaller because they actually live only on the Indonesian island of Sumatra.
Okay.
And of course, because it lives on this island, it's been isolated from any other tigers of any subspecies. And so it's a little bit different in its shape and look. I don't think it's anything that you would at a zoo look at them and go, those don't look like tigers. But I just think a little shaped differently, and they're a little smaller.
Kind of like how your cat's a little different.
Exactly. She looks like a normal cat to most people, but if you stopped and studied the way she moved and ran and stuff, it's just a tiny bit different. The male tiger of this breed, or this subspecies, is between 220 and 310 pounds, whereas the female is actually between 165 and 243 pounds. Both of those are significant, but also significantly smaller than some of the larger breeds.
It's almost Abby size, really.
Honestly,
it's not that much bigger.
You could have a dog that weighs as much as a female Sumatran tiger. Their stripes are very dark and well defined. They also cover the entire body, which includes their legs, and not all tigers have stripes on their legs.
I did not know that.
I didn't either.
I feel like that should be a children's book.
Right?
Not all tigers have stripes on their legs.
Not all tigers have stripes on their legs, and that's okay. It would be a tiger who's like trying to wear socks so that he has stripes on his legs.
We just wrote the cutest children's book.
TM.
That's ours. Nobody steal it.
Don't steal it. I stole that from And That's Why We Drink, because she does it all the time. Every time they have a good idea, Christina's like, TM. Anyway, the Malayan tiger is the only tiger I am going to attempt to say the scientific name of, and is for a very specific reason. Panthera tigris jacksoni, and occasionally Panthera tigris melanensis. The two scientific names. The scientific name Jacksoni was chosen to honor Peter Jackson, except not. I was super excited.
Not
about
our
this.
Peter Jackson.
It's not our Peter Jackson.
Lame.
This was a British journalist, author, and photographer who was interested in tiger conservation. So he's probably a pretty cool dude. But when I read that, I was like, yeah,
they named a tiger after
PJ.
Lord of the Rings.
He makes horror films and Lord of the Rings, and he's Kiwi. I'm sure he has a lot to do with tigers. But I was really stoked about it until I couldn't be anymore.
Until I couldn't be.
The Malayan tiger weighs between 220 and 308 pounds, and the female is 165 to 245, making this the smallest breed. Yes, I said that correctly. Why am I doubting myself? I'm a genius. The three breeds subspecies, I have to stop saying that. The three subspecies that are unfortunately extinct, I'm not going to go as much into detail. A Caspian tiger, this was a very muted color. They were living by the Caspian Sea, and they were the gray ones, often called the gray tigers. They believe it was a mutation in this tiger that made the blue tiger. They also believe the mutation in this may have created the white tiger as well. There was a Bali tiger. It was also on the Indonesian islands. It was the smallest tiger, male weighing between 200 to 220 pounds, and the female between 143 and 176 pounds. Hasn't been seen since the 1930s. All that's left of them are bones, unfortunately. The Javian tiger or Havian tiger, I'm not sure how that would be spoken.
Your face.
Pronounced? Is that the word I'm looking for?
Even if you had said, I don't know how that word should be said, it would have worked. But instead, you went with this.
I cut that out. I hate everything.
And then your face afterwards was like, why?
Why did that just happen? Why did I just spoken that?
All right. Yep.
I'm just done.
The episode just ends right there.
Oh, okay. Well, so this tiger, however you're spoken it, is a little larger than the Bali tigers that I was just speaking about. They've been extinct since the 1970s, although some people still claim to see tigers occasionally, which could be these, and they're just very few of them and they're hiding, which would be incredible.
Right.
What an amazing thing. And these, I believe, were the ones that had the red to them. Don't quote me on that for sure, but it was one of the Bali or the Javian, Havian, whatever you say, tiger.
However you spoke it.
Jump out my own window. I'm hoping I'm not like my cats. So, in most areas, tigers avoid humans. Attacks are typically when people bother them or they have kittens, which of course they would attack. Don't bother the adorable babies. But they sometimes do see people as prey. Normally, man-eating tigers are old and disabled or have an issue of some sort. There was a tiger in Nepal and India, and she had broken teeth, so she wasn't able to catch and kill normal prey. She actually ate 430 humans before she was killed.
What?
430 humans.
I'm sorry. That's not funny, but I'm
just, I'm 430
this
humans.
Old lady tiger that's like so angry about her toothache that she just goes on like an angry rampage through a village. Because in a tiger's mind, what makes a human easier to kill?
I literally think it's our flesh. It's being easier to bite through
than whatever else she was hunting.
Yeah, like an antelope or really any other animal.
And we can't run as fast.
Oh, heck no, we're babies.
She was like, this is a really easy prey. Why aren't more people doing this? Right. Why aren't more tigers doing this?
And then, like, her whole family was probably killed by these people, so she's like...
she's like, I'll show you.
Exactly. So, no, of course it's not funny, but it is, because we have collectively as humans killed way more than 430 tigers.
True.
So yes, she unfortunately was shot by Jim Corbett, who I had mentioned earlier. The one tiger is actually named after him. Tiger attacks did get high in Singapore during the mid-19th century because plantations were beginning to expand into tigers' habitats.
And they don't like that.
They do not. In the 1840s, the number of deaths annually were from 200 to 300. Being killed by a tiger would actually probably be one of the most horrific deaths you could ask for.
Right.
Local villagers in areas with tiger attacks being kind of common, the fishermen are actually usually very common targets. And I don't know if it is a scent or if it is as a fisherman, you're probably not carrying a ton of weapons or anything on you. So, and you're back and forth.
You've got like a fishing pole and maybe like a knife.
Tigers have unbelievable senses, which I will continue to tell you about in a minute. But they can they're smart enough to find... I can't think of any word. Like none. Patterns. They're smart enough to find patterns in your schedules and things of that nature.
Oh my god, like, so they can stalk you?
Yeah. Oh, I have such stories for you. I probably won't be able to tell them to you, but I have such stories for you.
Someday. I will share these tiger stories.
A lot of things that these villagers will do are they will wear face masks backwards.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah. It kind of looks like you're watching even your back. They do have protective clothing that they will wear. Sticks and electric dummies are also used to ward them off and keep them away. Tigers are all protecting now, so I don't believe these villagers are allowed to kill them. I think they could get into trouble if they do so.
Right.
Which is unfortunate in safety respect, but also in the respect of we've blasted into their territory.
Right. This is our fault.
Yeah. But now, because this is a very weird topic for me. Words are hard, okay? I am not a dictionary.
We're having such high expectations for me.
Exactly. I don't even know how to talk about this topic, obviously. But because of that, I wanted to share a few stories. As I said, tigers are very intelligent animals, though we don't quite give them that credit. In 1997, a Russian poacher, which, get wrecked, his name is Markov. He came across the trail of an Amur tiger, which Bengal tiger, so my favorite. And he hunted it because he wanted money.
He's gross.
Can't tell what I think about that. And he shot her. However, he did not kill her.
And then she went on a rampage and ate 430
people. Just as a side note here, there are people who are native to Russian. They're called the Uj people. Udege.
Okay.
I don't know how to say it exactly. But they believe that if someone attacks a tiger without a valid reason, Amba is the dark side of the tiger, and it will come out and hunt the person who harmed it. Markov unleashed the Amba.
Too bad for him.
Exactly. During the following 72 hours, the tiger tracked him down, stalked him, and killed him.
Yay. Go tiger.
Investigators later said that it was a mix of strategy, instinct, and, I'm quoting this directly, perhaps most importantly, a chilling clarity of purpose, revenge. She stalked him home and killed him for hurting her.
That's incredible.
I mean,
terrifying.
I agree. Don't hurt tigers.
Don't F with tigers.
They
will find you.
They will find you.
And they will kill
and they'll
you.
cut you.
They're even scarier than Liam Neeson.
Exactly. So I don't know if I have another story. If I do, I can't find it. I probably made it go away so I could look up my current new drugs. So I don't know if this whole thing is going to go together at all. But there is a proverb from the Uj people, the Russian native people. If you see a tiger for 1 second, he has been watching you for 1 hour. Which is also actually very true of all big cats. They are very keen on... They're despite their enormous size, they can keep an eye on you without you ever knowing. Or a lot of people will report, especially paranormal stories, feeling a sense of being watched or very, very afraid without a reason. It is often because you're being hunted.
They say that about bobcats around here.
Yes, they do. Or mountain lions.
Yes. Oh, yeah, mountain lions.
So... just to wrap up, I know this is a strange topic for me. I hope it hasn't bored you. I love tigers. They're so cool. Go look at pictures of them. You'll love them. Tigers, unfortunately, have become very popular in the exotic pet trade. There are apparently 246 in the United States as of the researching of this. Don't do it. You cannot take care of a tiger, and a tiger can very quickly take care of you.
We all learned our lessons from Joe Exotic.
Yeah.
Do not own tigers.
The magicians, they worked with those tigers. Those tigers were treated very well. And that tiger still turned on him, which they admitted very much that it was not the tiger's fault. That is a wild animal. But don't support anything that has tigers unless you know for a fact they are well taken care of. Zoos, for example, you can...
that they have to be in captivity for some health reason.
I believe our local zoos, tigers have to be in captivity. I know our grizzlies have to be because they were out actually killing people. So it was that, or they get put down. Circuses, like sideshows, don't do it.
Carol
don't
Baskin's
support them.
house.
Right? Don't do it.
Stay away.
Just don't support those. It's not okay. You cannot care for a tiger. They are not meant to be in a cage.
They can jump higher than your house.
Exactly.
You cannot keep them contained.
They can definitely run faster than you on a bicycle. So
they will stalk you.
Yeah. So just don't respect them. Put your efforts into conservation. Pick up your trash. I know we're in America. Just take care of the world. And
please. Pretty please.
It's illegal also since 2022 to own any large cats. So don't.
Many reasons we have given you.
That's tigers, ladies and gentlemen. Tigers and Jessica's failing at words.
And Andrew Carnegie.
And Carnegie.
I enjoyed that.
I'm very glad.
It was a nice, cute topic for you.
Thank you.
And still involved a little bit of death.
Yeah. I mean, hello, I've got to deliver. I must deliver some death. I am the Grim Reaper.
Surprise!
I always thought that was a hot dude.
Jessica got a new job.
Whee! Pays like crap.
Meet a lot of cool people, though.
Exactly. And dogs. I get to play with all the dogs.
True.
Anyway, oh my gosh, I don't know if this is salvageable. If you're hearing this, I probably got it put together pretty decently. But it's been this podcast, Dungeons and Dopamine. Us.
Yeah.
Words. Speak.
You can listen to this here podcast anywhere you stream podcasts and on YouTube.
I don't know why I was going to finish that for you. I couldn't get the words out. Now I'm just excited that I have them in front of me.
Come on, let's go.
Step it up. Oh, you can. I wouldn't. You could support us on Patreon at www.patreon.com/dungeonsdopamine.
You can also find us on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram,
and Reddit. I don't know if that picked up my wheezing.
I hope so.
I don't know why I think I'm so funny.
I obviously think you are too.
You can reach out to us on any of those or at dungeonsdopamine@yahoo.com.
Please tell us how unhinged our episodes are so that maybe we'll stop.
I would love this show because we're such idiots.
I used to love this show, and then you guys just got crazier and crazier. We are edited and published by Argyle Pigeon Productions. That was beautiful. Good job.
Thank you. I really, really tried.
She's been that's what she was focusing on this whole episode.
Redemption.
That's why she couldn't come up with her words.
I hope you all had a great New Year and that this show just gets better.
Yes.
It only can from here.
Obviously.
Can only go up. We should have quit last week, like we said. Okay, we love you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.